You wanna?
I hear myself.
All right. You wanna?
I hear
You
myself.
wanna?
I hear myself.
Hello, everybody.
What is the delay?
We're just figuring out if there's a
I hear
delay.
myself.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Do you hear the delay?
I
We're just
do.
figuring out if there's a delay. Hello, hello.
I do. I do.
Wow. How does that happen? Wow. Wow. How does how does that happen?
Is this still happening? All
There.
right. We're here. Hi, friends. It's
All right,
Amaline
it
on
worked.
CarnivoreView, where continued conversations by fellow guest carnivores share their perspectives on health and healing modalities. We were just troubleshooting some weird tech issues that we were having where we couldn't even, there was so much feedback and we were trying to change devices, whatever. But we're returning with part two of 4 live calls discussing the profound teachings of the 4 agreements with Coach Raymond Nazon of the Steak and Butter Gang. Welcome, Coach Raymond. I'm grateful for your work and dedication in the Steak and Butter Gang and your willingness to take extra time to enrich our larger carnivore community with discussions such as this. Yeah, I'm a little rattled at the moment, trying to just get into my flow. So, I'm wondering if others are joining us on the call right now. It's a little hard for me to see based on
I do.
you
I
do.
see Limitless Lindy and Kimberly Raysma
Oh,
in your
welcome,
table.
guys. Thanks for coming
Hi.
in. Coach Raymond, you helped me through personal coaching sessions using your priming protocol, which accelerated my healing. And I broke through this illusion of calorie restriction as a way to lose weight by eating larger quantities of meat and with your encouragement to do so. I would send you images of what I was eating, and you would say, you need to eat more than that. And I was shocked to know that. So it seems evident that when we're malnourished, our bodies are stressed and feel they don't feel safe to lose weight. And this is, I think, easier for most people to understand, but I think the more challenging thing to realize is that we're not eating enough, or that foods that we are told are healthy for us are actually causing malnourishment and even disease. And once I got through that priming process, my body started to let go of the inflammation and I began to lose weight, which made me realize there was no turning back to previously held beliefs. So now that I've crossed that first year anniversary on carnivore, I've eliminated 36 pounds of debris from my body, gained energy and mobility, achieved a lot of improvements with my health, including mental clarity. So it was the easiest thing I've ever done for my health. And I'm not saying priming is a cakewalk. It takes courage, faith, feeding. But compared to everything else that I've done, that I've pushed myself to do in the name of health, it was the most uncomplicated and affordable thing. And I saw a lot of results. So I wanted just to bring back up your before and after picture again, just to, as I'm talking about this, to introduce you again to those who are just coming in for part two, maybe haven't seen part one. But with this renewed energy, vision, and cognitive improvement in my health, I want to do more in life, and such as reading and sharing wisdom from amazing authors. And last week we discussed the first agreement, being impeccable with your word. And before we move on, I just wanted to summarize that by adhering to these 4 agreements that Don Miguel is talking about, it'll reward us with the freedom from self-limiting beliefs. So the second agreement that we're talking about is don't take things personally. So, yeah. And I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about your transition at this point, or if you wanted to move on and just get into that second agreement.
Yeah, let's get on to the second agreement. But I do want to state that the reason that I know this works is because that was my story, and I saw it with everyone else. If they eat enough, and also give a self the opportunity to fast, usually the healing is sped up.
Yeah. So let's talk about don't take things personally.
Hang on real
Don,
quick.
yeah.
Does anyone hear an echo from my side?
Mm,
Just making sure no one else hears it except for me,
yeah. I don't
because I
hear
know
it.
you don't hear it. Okay. So if anybody does and it's confusing, let me know.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so Don Miguel talks about the trap of personal
Oh,
importance.
they do.
He says this is. Oh,
Hang
they
on.
do?
So you guys hear an echo? Yeah, it's messing me up. Is it doable? Because I don't know how to fix it.
I don't know how to fix it either. You want to just unplug your headphone and plug it back in real quick?
Think it's my headphone? Sure.
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You still hear me? With an echo? Do you have YouTube? Oh, thank you, Lindy. I might have.
Oh, you might have another screen with the
I do.
open. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Well,
Thank you, Lindy.
you think that's what it is?
We're learning. Yeah, if you have a device open with the YouTube on it, so that I had thought that I could do that so I could read the comments
on.
better, but it would give feedback
Okay.
if you're not muted.
Nope, I closed out of my. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. No. We'll close out of all mine. See, I can't even hear the click.
I can hear the click.
You can?
Yeah, that's okay. It's not feedback.
Okay, there. Nope, still going. Okay, let me come back.
You want to come
Keep
back?
everybody entertained. I'll be right
All
back.
right, I'll keep everybody entertained. Let me go back to just the scene. Hey, everybody. Don Miguel talks about the trap of thinking things are about us. He says this is the maximum selfishness because we assume what is happening around us is about us, especially when others are commenting about us, like saying direct things like you're stupid or you're this or you're that. But he says that nothing other people do is because of you, it's because of themselves. People live in their own minds and in their own dreams. And I'm just going to give a chance to see. Okay, Raymond is back, so let's transition. You sound good.
Yeah, I do.
You sound
Okay,
good.
no echo.
No echo. Let's
Yay.
see if other people can hear.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
I don't hear an echo, so that's good.
It's okay. You know what? More people came to join probably, so we're just good timing. But
Yes.
basically,
We won't take anything personally here.
We're not
you
going to
know,
take it personally.
We're not going to go against the tech on it. You know, it's all good.
Yeah. But that's so taking things personally. I was just saying, like, people impose their worlds onto one another. Like, we take things personally, we're assuming that they know what is in our world. And when we take that on as our belief, then that can shift our whole ability to manifest good things in our lives. Because in truth, a person's opinions correspond to their own agreements that they have in their own minds. And when you take it on as yours, you're basically agreeing with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great summary there. Really, whenever we are feeling like we took something personally, we are entering into an agreement. And I found that's probably the easiest way to find out whether we're taking things personally. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because I go down this part where there are some things certain person does bothers me to the core. And I just can't help it, and I'm reacting emotionally, right? So there are some things that I do that I just automatically take in an agreement and feel offense to. And I don't know why that is.
I don't know, but
And
it's
that's what I'm
easier to see what
observing.
other people are doing than when you're doing it, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because
Go on.
no, I recognize when other people or take things personally when I didn't mean for them to take it personally.
Right,
Like even when like I was sharing my carnivore journey with certain people, I wasn't making comments about them or what they should do, suggesting what they should eat,
right.
but I would get interrupted right away with their personal justifications for what they're eating, and it seemed highly defensive comments, as though they were suggesting that I was telling them to do it just because I was sharing the success I was getting on it. Which, yeah, to some degree, I'm sharing my story so that it can help other people, but I certainly wasn't imposing that on them. So,
I'm glad you mentioned that because if you think about it, how strong are our intentions? We need to ask that to ourselves too.
uh,
Yes, I am willing to share my story to very much influence them. But if my intention was to influence them instead of just sharing my story, does that change how they'll perceive it? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking.
right, I think it's just whatever's going on in their world, how they'll.
Maybe, but maybe our intentions are a lot stronger than I think it is. In other words, if my intention, it doesn't matter the words that come out of my mouth as much, it could be also built from the intention itself. For example, I learned this when I was like a teen. When I came over to the United States, everyone would talk sarcasm, and in Haiti, there was sarcasm was rare. You said it, you meant it. You know,
Okay.
so it took me a while to understand sarcasm. But sarcasm, if you notice, to read sarcasm, you need the intent to be sarcastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is it's more than just the words we're saying. It is what is our intention. So if our intention is I'm here to influence a carnivore diet and then I'm telling my story, well the intentions they're going to see through it is what I'm thinking.
Well, we're reading people's body language too.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
we could be saying things with our body language, but also we don't know the history of other people, and so that baggage that they're carrying is also in being interpreted, like they're seeing through a lens, that those lenses of their eyes in responding to what other people are saying,
Yeah.
or doing around them. But I had like another experience where I was eating a meal with my family members.
Yes.
I had a large bag of Redmond salt sitting on the table next to my plate, and one of my family members made a face, got angry, and was kind of like said, well, "What's so special about that salt?" They were kind of just defensive about me choosing another brand of salt to use than the one that I grew up with.
Oh, right, right.
They took it personally, and when they said what's so special about it, like I knew already that they honestly didn't want to know anything about it. Um, and it kind of made the whole meal unpleasant because you could see how they were holding this idea against me, feeling disrespected by my personal choice, and chose to sulk and act pissy towards me throughout the meal. And you know and it wasn't just like that specific moment, it was building on the way that that person treated me in general. So it takes conscious energy to be around someone who's always taking things personally and taking it out on you. It's a battle to not take it personally that other people are taking it personally,
Well,
everything
that's
you
the thing.
do.
It spread the poison. No, it's funny because you even talked about how you reacted to it. Like you got poisoned, therefore you replied with poison, and it poisoned the whole well, right? No one felt relaxed at that point. And then assumptions started coming up, which we haven't gotten to the assumptions part. But that's where we go through and we create our own hell. So the example that you're giving is actually snap on how we create our own hell and how it's very small
Very
and
small,
yeah,
petty.
petty, right? And we create this hell that we can't get out of, and then all of a sudden we just feel whenever we see that person, if we don't forgive them, according to the book you should forgive, if we
Right.
don't forgive them, we're going to feel that angst towards them and we have no idea why.
Well, that's what happens. I decided not to eat around the person anymore for my peace, for my digestion, because I couldn't handle, I didn't understand, I didn't know what to do, how to be in a protective, when I'm trying to eat, I have to also be protective
Of
and
yourself.
explain or justify myself. And,
Mhm.
if I just want to be in a state of harmony around other people, then I also have to be honest with myself, right? Like, what can I handle? What can I not handle? So that was how I handled the situation. But, like, if I can't find that harmony to be around a person, no matter what I'm trying to do, then I have to distance myself from them.
And it does say that in the book that if you want your, personal heaven, that we need to distance ourselves from the other people's dreams, hell. But in that also in the book, it does say to be able to get your own heaven and be untouched by the hell around you.
Yeah, and that takes time, that takes
That
discipline,
takes, that's it. That's it.
awareness.
Awareness. Yes, yes.
And also there's the distinction between not taking things personally and also not condoning bullying, right? Because bullying, we can choose not to take someone's words against us personally, but we also need to pay attention to that intent that you were talking about, to intentionally inflict harm or violence, or in some case we don't need to let others' actions affect our opinion of ourselves, but yet we also need to protect ourselves. So I think that I needed to talk
I
about that
wanna,
distinction.
yes, I wanna look into that actually, because bullying, for example, bullying is more of the idea of the victim. So remember, they talk about three things: the judge, the victim, and the societal behavior that gets us into our dream, the societal dreams, right? Those three things he says that we need to be very cognizant about, and we need to escape those parasites. Judge the victim. So if we realize that we don't need to allow and agree with the bully with their words, we don't have to agree with it. But saying that, we also do need to stand up and say, hey, this is my boundary. Please don't cross it.
Right. Because when we realize that what they say and do is a reflection on what's going on inside of them,
Right. It is.
we can either, move away from them or confront them, but,
Or forgive them
or
and
forgive them.
start asking questions instead. Why do you feel this way? How I feel, in other words. This I take from the nonviolent communication. I don't know if you've read that by Marshall Rosenberg,
Mm.
but you describe how you're feeling. Hey, right now I'm feeling like, um, I'm feeling
Attacked.
sad. No, if you say attack, that's an attack back.
Oh.
So you need to feel your emotion.
Mm.
What is my emotion right now? How you're, coming towards me. Or I'm feeling angry. And I want to say I'm feeling angry because and then you say a need. That's according to the nonviolent communication. You state what your emotion is, and then you tell them what your need is. So the need could be, I would like to ask if you could lower your tone so I don't feel this way, cause my emotion to feel this way. And then that's where the communication gets non-violent. See? So the thing is to detach ourselves from the personal. See, we're taking it personally that we assume that that person's bullying us because they're attacking us. But sometimes, most of the time, it's something inside them, just like you said, Amaline, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, like that
that's,
person, I sensed they felt I was disrespecting them by
yes,
choosing a different brand of salt. And
yes,
that I was saying something about them when I was simply eating my meal
yes.
with my own condiments. So it's, like I was in my own space, my own world. Like I was just sitting at the table to eat together.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes those things take you by surprise and you just don't know what to do in that moment. Like, and so I knew it wasn't about me. I knew there wasn't anything wrong with my salt.
That's right.
But do I want to continue? The decision that I had to make was, do I want to continue to be in the position? Right? Um, and then you have the other side. Like you can flip this the other way and, talk about compliments. Because it's kind when people say good things and we hear positive things about us,
We shouldn't take that personally either.
but we shouldn't take that personally either
Exactly.
because they're still passing their judgment on you. So other
Correct.
people's approval shouldn't be above your own,
Right.
right? and only you can give them that power.
Right.
So, yeah, but it does feel good, right? When somebody says something really nice to you, it kind of validates, or just does something where you just know that you're okay to be around that person. I think that just, the love is there. Um, but what is most important is what you feel and believe about yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, I can tell you, even with a compliment, we all have witnessed this. There are people that compliment us so that we can be in their good graces, and they do something sneaky to us later on. As a lady, I'm sure you felt that many times, right? You get a compliment because they want something out of you, right?
That could be manipulative, right?
Right, manipulative. Exactly. So what I'm trying to say is
Mm-hmm.
this is why we shouldn't take even compliments personally,
Yeah.
right? Because we're setting ourselves up. So why do we want to do that? Now, here's what's important, and I love that because we talked about impeccability in our word,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
What One of the things I love about the book that it says we need to be a warrior to our emotions. Okay? And in other words, we guard ourselves. That's later on in the book. We guard ourselves where we don't just let the emotions out. In other words, I got a compliment. Oh, and I all of a sudden feel very happy. It's okay to feel happy inside, but you don't
Mm.
need to let it out, right? So stay true to yourself and time it. There is a good timing to show that you're happy, or even stating it is okay. But just going into it blindly with just blind emotions, kind of like anger, you just go straight and react. Reacting with happiness is also not ideal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when our ego is at the forefront.
It is. And it's easy to take advantage of us once I mean, there are people that study other people to know how to, con them because of their ego. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Befriend them, make them. Yeah.
befriend them, make them feel comfortable, all that. Yeah. And
I
safe.
I remind myself like that no one is above or below me, as I am one with God just as much as anyone else.
Love
So
it.
I always say like we're equals. So it's when people are just vocalizing their judgments, it almost can put you back in that place where you're like, okay, I'm being evaluated, and you can get into your head about that. But
Yeah, we get into their personal hell, and which creates our own personal hell. We're so worried about how am I looking. I mean, I went that through the carnivore journey the whole time because it's like, oh, I'm going to be the only guy eating all meat. What's my colleague going to say? Now I just go in proudly with that much meat, and they'll always ask me, "You going to eat all that?" Well, yeah, this is what I like.
yeah, isn't it noticed that people notice they comment on the volume of food too?
Right, the volume.
And I think that's why for a long time it took me a while to like realize I wasn't eating enough,
Mhm.
because that's what we're telling ourselves all the time, that we're eating too much or something. A part of the greater healing on carnivore that we talk about in SBG is that carnivore calm, that state of peace and harmony that carnivores such as myself testify to experiencing, where you notice that things that people say and do around you don't actually have the same weight that they used to. Like, they can't really throw you off your alignment or equilibrium after you get stronger. And I believe that it's because being nourished really strengthens our awareness and our intuition more, and it feeds our brains. So that, because in weaker wounded states, we rely on other people outside of ourselves out of a fear of survival. And when we're nourished, we feel more self-reliant, right down to the cellular level. um, I know that I do feel stronger in my beliefs, and I'm more impeccable with my word because I feel more confident in myself. um, I think that when I was in the weakest state, I isolated myself because I didn't want to have to talk or speak the truth about my illness. And I know people are very moody when they're not properly nourished. The term hangry is used to denote when someone's like angry because they're hungry. And after being carnivore for 1 year now, I'm more in tune with the synchronicities of my mood and hunger, and how we were talking in the recent meeting of sugar addiction about emotional eating. because stress is often a prompt to eat as a subconscious survival mechanism, and how it's okay to eat when you're stressed a little bit, because when you're feeding yourself good food, as long as you're feeding yourself the good food and not going to the bad foods, because even in excitement and anticipation that arises in us can kind of be a stressor that drives us from that pressures that we're feeling, and those things can trigger binging. So I think, but by not taking things personally, no matter the outcome of future situations that have yet to occur, like you can prevent stress responses attached to harmful behaviors such as binge eating, because when our brains are getting the proper nutrients, it's a lot harder to it's a lot harder to reason with ourselves when we're malnourished. If that's making any sense right now, I'm trying to say is that when we're nourished, our brains are functioning better, and it's easier to reason with ourselves.
That's absolutely going to matter. And I want to add on to that. Being stressed is because we take things personally. It really
It's a
is.
catch
That's
twenty
how
two.
stress. That's how stress builds, because we take it upon ourselves. Like for example, oh, I have a deadline. Well, let's say you have a deadline for your job. Oh, I have to do it. You took it personally. You made the agreement that you're going to get this job done by XYZ time. Therefore, that builds stress. I'm not saying. I'm just making an observation here.
Yeah, especially when, because I relate to that a lot, when I was very ill. And of course, you get worried even more when you know that you're not your full optimal self. And you're afraid that you're going to make a mistake before you even make a mistake, or fall behind before you even fall behind. And you don't want to give that away, that you're in a weakened state. So you're even more on alert to those things that's causing more stress, and it's just making your health worse.
Yes. What's
Like,
interesting, just to let you know, by the way, I like what Kimberly said. It's all about how we react to things. I I really think stress is taking it personally. For example, let's say you have a deadline. What would happen, Amaline? Let's say you got an emergency phone call and you couldn't do that deadline. What would happen there? Let's say anything
yeah,
happened. What would happen?
yeah.
All of a sudden, that deadline means nothing, right?
Right. Well, I think
No,
out of all the years of experience now, I think I would react differently today than I would when I was in my early 20s or 30s.
possibly. And it is all about
Definitely.
how we react. So, do we really need to take that deadline so personally that we'll harm ourselves to even do it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And which
Yeah.
don't take
Right.
my what I'm saying to you personally at all, Emmeline. I'm
I
just
know you're
stating from
speaking to me. I know it. Well, I had
I'm
been
not
in.
trying to make it personal.
No, I know, but like it definitely saw those things in me, because, I had worked for a company where they were laying off people and incrementally.
Right.
And I was like one of the last when the ship went down, but like, I was getting three times, four times the amount of work that I had done before, but the deadlines were still being kept. And I was afraid to lose my job,
Right.
and to lose my income and
Right.
my lifeline. It was, you know what I mean? So,
But that's the
yeah,
story
it
of
takes a
hell we're
while.
telling ourselves. Do you know that would have happened? No, because you made that story up. And
Mm,
that's the hell that we
yeah,
end up creating. We don't know because we're living all of a sudden in the future, which is anxiety, right?
yeah.
Let's draw a card for
Okay.
you right now.
All
How about
right.
that?
Sounds good.
So I've got a card. It says, don't take anything personally from that deck. And it says, your truth is personal to you.
Yeah.
I think that's fitting.
It
Your
is
own
fitting for me.
opinions, right? Your own opinions and point of view reflect your own agreements and are personal to you. It is no one's truth but yours.
Oh my gosh, I want to cry right now. Well, because in the same chapter, Don Miguel surprised me when he talks about hearing voices from another reality. The Toltecs called
The
these being
Toltecs.
allies, and in other places they call them gods. And he says our mind lives in more than one dimension.
Mhm.
He talks specifically about that. And I think unless you've had those experiences of hearing a voice from another reality or being a being in your mind, that you would be skeptical or deny the possibility of that. And some people believe that we have a higher self that communicates to us if we are
Yes.
ready and willing to have those experiences. And when I got really ill in 2013, I surrendered to spirit and I prayed. I called on Archangel Michael. I asked for guidance. I called on any ascended being of light and goodness to give me signs, to help me. And I did receive them. And I kept them myself. I kept them to myself for years and years. First, I was still contending with my ego at that time, and the the idea of how that might affect my reputation, coworkers, or how people saw me. It also defied my ability to really fully explain those experiences to other people, and they were very personal as well. So, but in my gratitude for those experiences that are my truth, because I knew other people would judge, I knew other people would take it personally, like especially when you're talking about spiritual things. But I honored those things that were happening to me by creating artwork. And that secret collection of my personal significance has now become a 120 card oracle deck that I'm working on, and I'm getting published like a decade after these things started happening to me. And I have it right here. I have a lot of these images, and anybody who wants to check that out can see that on vitalnative.com, my other website. But like, I don't think other people should take it personally if it just doesn't go along with their belief system. And thank you for bringing your deck of cards into this call to play with, because that couldn't have been just like, there wasn't a more perfect card for me in that moment. So thank you.
Yes. And shall we pick cards for some of
Yeah,
our folks?
let's see who's in here wants a card. Speak up, or we will
Yes.
pick you.
A deck. Let's pick a card for a deck. How about that? Because she's been prioritizing love. Let's see. All right. And all of this is from don't take anything personally.
Personally, that
Yes.
specific
Yes.
chapter of the
Yeah,
book,
that
because there's
specific
like,
chapter. Yeah.
yeah, it's so cool.
It says relinquish self-importance.
Oh, oh,
Personal importance, or taking things personally, is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me.
it's a
Wow,
hard one
don't
to
I do
hear.
that?
It's
Don't
a
I
hard
do
one,
that? Don't I do that?
but we don't
Wow.
realize. Don't you do it?
I do. I do. That's the thing. I feel like it's all about me. I feel like sometimes that the world, without me, there is no world, right?
Well, social acceptance is essential to our survival, and we learn that when we're growing up. Because if you're down, you're injured, you lack resources, there's less chance of survival, and being left out of a group makes us more susceptible to being endangered. And which is why community is important. So when you feel like someone is saying something negative about you, it could trigger this idea that you might be left out. You know, I don't know. What does it mean for you? What is it more triggering for you? Only you would know.
Triggering for me. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's many things. So mainly right now, the person that easiest trigger me is the one that's closest to me, which is my wife. My kids come after that. You know, I just get triggered very easily. So, um, but to relinquish my self-importance, like why do I take all these things personally? It's when I'm spoken to by certain people, I automatically have a trigger, so I'm easily hurt. There's the part in the book that talks about it's kind of like your skin has a lot of scratches and boils, so whenever you're touched there, it hurts. But
Yeah.
your body wants to be touched and caressed because it feels good if you don't have any of the scars and scratches,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So because we are hurt, and possibly we're hurt more from taking things personal, making assumptions, all of that stuff, and that's why that I can't fully open up and
Wow.
because I have a guard. I have a guard all the time
But
at
that
times.
that example, that analogy that you're giving is actually even like some people like to be touched and some people don't, and
Right.
I wonder about that too for the people who don't like to be touched, if that's also because of a lot of wounding.
Wound. Yeah, that's right. No, that's right. If you're
Yeah.
constantly hurt, let's say you have there's some diseases actually out there that you just feel anything touching you doesn't feel good or feel
Yeah.
right, right?
Yeah.
So, but they want to be touched. We all have that human need to be touched, but it's like we're diseased or like leprosy, if you want to look at it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's pick a card for Kimberly. What do you think?
Yeah. Kimberly.
Okay. And again, don't take these cards personally.
Right.
Everyone lives in their own dreams. That's what it start is.
Yeah.
All people live in their own dream. In their own mind, they are in a completely different world from the one we live in. How true. We do make our own dreams.
It's hard for us to see that or know that, but like it is, it is true.
It is.
You know how your version of love may be different from somebody else's version of love, and what might hurt you might not hurt another person. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And, I always think to myself that, the golden rule, right? Do unto others what they do
Mm-hmm.
unto others what they would have
As
done to
they,
you as
right,
right
as you would, yeah.
as you would want, pretty much what you wanted. But that's not really a good golden rule because everybody's different. Everybody needs are different. You know, how I talk to you, for example, Amaline. There are some sensitive people because of the way my gesture is and the way I'm kind of a little bit loud would make them feel very unsafe and scared
Mm,
or like they're being told what to do, right?
mm-hmm.
But there are some people that really resonate with the way I talk, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, I always think, that I can't take how that person views me right now personally, because that's just what they're going through, how their lives are, and what's going on in their lives. I can only be truthful to myself. This is me, this is how I speak. Um, and I and once I find out I'm offending somebody, I can apologize for not about me being offensive, but about that their feelings are hurt by hearing the way I speak.
It is often the emotion of anger that kind of reveals these things. The Because when somebody is angry, it's the like the basic, the essential, what it boils down to is always like a feeling of being mistreated by another person,
Yeah.
right? So when somebody gets angry, then you're realizing what they are interpreting as being as you offending them,
Yeah.
right? Or them offending you.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up because if you think about this, it's all depends on what kind of experience you've had in the past, and then you would feel very easily offended said somebody that mimics the way I sound or look like, they automatically get that pathway and then they feel offended, for example. Saying that, this is why I think part of the book, one of the more important things is forgiveness. Being able to forgive to the point of like, hey, when you meet me next, you're an empty slate. I have no past with you that I'm holding on to. You are you as the present person, not as that past person. And that I think is very important. Or because of how I know you from the past, I'll also go into an assumption that you're going to always be like that in the future and not be in the present moment with you right now.
That's easier said than done.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm
But
just going by the book. You saw where it talked about forgiveness, right? Being very,
yeah.
very important. Yeah, that one is a hard one for me too.
Um he talks about, and this is a little bit harder to take because He talks about how humans are addicted to suffering at different
Yes.
levels and degrees. And like if you're in an abusive situation, you could take that very personally, right? Because you
Exactly.
can get triggered by that, hearing that. And, I did bookmark that because I know somebody needs to hear this. It's not something easy to say, but I feel like I'm going to say it. It says, if you have the need to be abused, you will find it easy to be abused by others. Likewise, if you are with people who need to suffer, something in you makes you abuse them. It is as if they
Yeah.
have a note on their back that says, please kick
Kick me.
me. They are asking for justification for their suffering. Their addiction to suffering is nothing but an agreement that is reinforced every day. Wherever you go, you will find people lying to you. And as your awareness grows, you will notice that you also lie to yourself. Do not expect people to tell you the truth because they also lie to themselves. You have to trust yourself and choose to believe or not believe what someone says to you. When we really see other people as they are without taking it personally, we can never be hurt by what they say or do. Even if others lie to you, it is okay. They are lying to you because they are afraid. They are afraid you will discover that they are not perfect. It is painful to take that social mask off. If others say one thing but do another, you are lying to yourself if you don't listen to their actions. But if you are truthful with yourself, you will save yourself a lot of emotional pain. Telling yourself the truth about it may hurt, but you don't need to be attached to the pain. Healing is on the way, and it's just a matter of time before things will get better for you.
I love that. And you know
Yeah.
what card came up?
What?
It came up, see other people as they are.
That's it.
When you see other people as they are without taking it personally, you can never be hurt by what they say or do.
That's exactly. It's
Even, I know,
synchronistic.
synchronous. Even if others lie to you, it is okay. They are lying to you because they are afraid you will discover that they are not perfect.
Yeah.
That's one of the big judges, you know. I always had to be perfect in just everything. And when I wasn't, I would just like, oh, nope, not worth it, not doing it. All
Yeah,
or
like
nothing.
okay, if you can't win the game, you're not playing the game.
Exactly. Exactly. No, that's it. That's it. You know, and that's very childish because I remember as a child I did that. So if I was losing the game, I would just kick the ball out and just say, well, nobody's playing.
Oh,
I mean, it's a childish behavior, but do we carry it on to ourselves even now to this day? Absolutely.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Want to do another card?
I do.
All right. Let's take a look. So
What
this
about a
one says,
card? What about a card for Lindy? Did we do one for
oh, we
Lindy?
didn't. We
Let's
didn't.
pull a card
Let's
for
pull a
you.
card just for Lindy. Lindy, I'm going to shuffle it and see, but this is under Don't Take Personally.
Don't take it personally.
Yes. So for Lindy, I've got release self judgment. Even the opinions you have about yourself are not necessarily true. Therefore, you don't need to take whatever you hear in your own mind personally. Wow. We need to all hear that.
We can't even take what we think about ourselves personally.
Most importantly, I'd say, it doesn't matter what the judgment comes outside from to you because we don't have control over that. But there is one thing we do have control over is our own judgments to our own selves. We don't need to judge. We don't need to judge, period. Judge others, judge ourselves. Easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, yesterday, I just started recollecting because, you know, I'm like thinking, when I was reading this at first, I was like, I'm not that judgy. I'm absolutely not. Oh boy. Wow. Am I judgy? So I started observing just how my conversation was. And even if you'll notice, as I'm talking to you, I'm pretty much casting judgment at times towards you, Amaline. See how judgy I am? But suddenly, I don't even notice it. But right now I'm at that process where I'm trying to take notice that I'm judging.
Hmm.
And
Um,
even my intentions are judgy.
oh, and the intentions, like where the
Yeah.
intentions coming from in that
Hmm.
moment. Well, you are a coach, and you're also in the habit of coaching people.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. That still, I try not to judge in my coaching also.
Yeah.
If you wanted blueberries, I'd be like, that's up to you. This is your, path and your decision. But yes, but I want to take it a step further and really be more impeccable to my word and not
Mm.
really do better into the judgment space. My words are important.
Ah, so important. Every day, I'm trying. I'm doing better. I know I am. By putting my awareness on it alone is like is changing that trajectory of where I was going, um, to a new place. Um, how about I? There's one I want to read my favorite part of the entire book,
Okay.
which comes through in this chapter. It says, if you keep this agreement, and we're talking about the agreement of not taking it personally, you can travel the world with your heart completely open and no one can hurt you. You can
Yeah.
say, I love you, without fear of being ridiculed or rejected. You can ask for what you need. You can say yes or you can say no, whatever you choose, without guilt or self judgment. You can choose to follow your heart always. Then you can be in the middle of hell and still experience inner peace and happiness. You can stay in your state of bliss and hell with not if, with no effect to you at all. Um, I just love how like you can just really be honest with everything and only be willing to do the things you want to do, and not just say yes out of a sense of duty or obligation. To be able to say I love you without fear.
I love you, Emmeline.
I love you too.
That is great. I love that part. Actually, I really do like that part.
Yeah, it really hit me.
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we do one more card? Or we
let's
have a few more?
let's do one more card and then move on to the next chapter.
Oh, that's right. We do have another chapter. Darn.
Mm-hmm.
And I
The
have a few
third
more
agreement.
cards. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to go through all the cards because they're so enlightening.
I
But
know.
it says refuse to eat emotional poison. Wow.
Oh
Eat. I
yeah,
love
refuse
that.
to do it.
Oh,
Refuse.
refuse to eat emotional poison. So,
Mm.
taking things personally makes you a prey for predators. They can hook your attention with one little opinion and feed you whatever poison they want. Refuse to eat poison.
Yeah,
Dang,
you would be making yourself vulnerable to all kinds of attacks.
are even with positive, that you're taking it
That's right.
personally. So, and they'll get you to eat poison.
Mm-hmm.
And our job is to set a boundary. We're refusing to eat poison. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Can we go through all the others and then go to the next chapter, or you think
Okay.
that would be good? No,
I'm
that's
okay
really
on
darn it.
time. I can go as long as we want today. It is almost
Well, we
3.
did start a little late,
We
so I'd
did.
say we could sit a little late. Is that
Okay.
okay? All
Yeah.
right. Because I do want to get through those cards because they're
Let's
so
do it.
enlightening. Okay, good. So ignore the opinions of others. I don't even know what that is. What is that? Is that like a womb and a
Oh, I just see a circular object, honestly, because I have the
yeah?
whole, yeah.
I'm not sure what
Um,
that is. Oh, that's somebody cradling themselves in a big womb. Okay. Whatever people do, feel, think, or say, don't take it personally. Others are going to have their own opinion according to their belief system. So whatever they think about you is not about you, but it is about them. That's great. Kimberly, just to let you know that when I first read the Four Agreements, taking things personally really hit home, and that was one of the hardest things to wrap around my head. So this is the first time you've heard it. It's going to take a lot of practice. So I've been practicing this since I've been reading it. This is probably my third time around. So I'm pretty familiar, and I'm still keeping this. This is so important to me that I'm spending a lot of time thinking about it.
I think I've read it like 9 times,
Have
and
you?
I
Wow,
know
way more
maybe
than me.
more.
Wow. Okay.
But that's just because I'm so busy doing this and that, and I want to go back again and just make sure that I read it, I really understand it. Like I feel like the more you do, like the more deeper it gets.
Actually,
Um,
I noticed it more in reaching when I started reading it with someone else. Actually, I'm reading it with a deck. Um,
yeah,
and I'm getting a lot of insights from because we talk about it afterwards. So I
yeah.
think as a group, it makes much more of a difference in reading it by yourself.
Because you're reading it, then you're
We're
moving on,
caught
then
in
you're moving on,
right,
and you're not
and then we're caught in
stewing
our
in it.
own behaviors all the time, right? Our own circle, our own self thinking. We don't hear other people's point of view, but when we do, then we're like, okay, now it's sinking in.
Mm.
So I feel like that's really helped a lot. On the next one.
Anybody who wants a card, this card's for you.
Okay, sure. Why not? Anybody who wants a card. This one's
This one's for
okay.
you.
It says, embrace your freedom. That's a good card.
Mm,
You gain a huge amount of freedom when you take nothing personally. No spell can affect you, regardless of how strong it may be. And if you live without fear, if you love, you will be happy with your life.
it's empowering.
It's very, because it is a next level of freedom because then there's no regret. I've done. What's next? Let me enjoy every present moment that I can, I
Mm.
think. So, become immune to poison is the next card.
Become immune.
Yes, the whole world can gossip about you. And if you don't take it personally, you are immune.
Yeah.
Immunity to poison in the middle of hell is the gift of the second agreement. Absolutely. You know, there came a time where people were bashing on the priming process. You remember these
Yeah.
videos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
They intentionally don't want to understand so that they can spread that gossip because they have an agenda of their
yes,
own, and it's in conflict with what they're
us.
selling or doing, right?
When it didn't matter to me. I'm like, I didn't take it personally. I didn't need an excuse to say, oh, well, they're trying to sell more. Or well, actually, I did. The little reaction did at first. But then I caught myself, do I really care? Whatever. It's like, enjoy bashing what I've done because, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Or if you have a different point of belief, I love that you do. And that's okay.
I notice that I judge the people that are I judge anybody like I do. I like if somebody's bashing somebody, I automatically back up from them because I like to judge a person by my experience with
Oh,
them.
yeah.
And when I see somebody going to that negative behavior, I already kind of dismissed them.
Oh no, you judged them.
I judge
Oh,
them.
I know. I know. It's kind of funny,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. Just
That's
more layers.
it's and the first part of all this I think is awareness, okay? As
Yeah.
long as we're aware, then we can do something about it. And that's
Mm.
how I approach carnivore. That's how I approach fasting. As long as I'm aware, then I have power to do something about it. So I don't know what the next step is. How do I stop my reaction and be more impeccable with my words so that I don't fall into that trap of judging right off because I felt a negative reaction? I
But
don't know the answer
the
to that.
people who have the intention of spreading the gossip, right?
Mm.
It's like they don't want to know the truth because they need to make other people wrong, or they need
I'd
to
love to
belittle
make that
something else.
assumption. I'd
So
love to make that
I
assumption.
think that is true
That would be an
in a lot of
assumption because we
cases.
didn't ask them. So,
We didn't ask them, but when
right.
somebody refuses, when they hear the truth, they refuse to allow that to stop them from continuing to spread misinformation. Then you gotta understand that that's a,
Yeah.
a conscious choice that they're making.
Yes. So if I were to be impeccable with my word, I would want to say like, "Hey, there's no need to talk about it because there's no need to spread any poison to them and then spread any poison back at us. And then have that cycle of hell creating where I'm worried about, oh my God, what's the next video that's going to come out? They're going to embarrass me because it's my program, that kind of stuff. So, in a way, I'm trying to live the four agreements on that.
Being kind to those that are even being unkind.
Yes, yes.
And just say, look, I'm not going to condone that.
I'm not
I'm just
condone
going to
that.
say,
It's not going to be in my
let's
vocabulary.
not continue to spread that. We don't know.
Exactly. I love it. Amaline. Don't take that personally, by the way, me cheering. I'm just happy inside.
Yeah.
Yes. So, all right. On the next card, for the last one, for don't take anything personally, it says love and respect yourself. You are never responsible for the action of others, but you are responsible for you. If someone is not treating you with love and respect, it is a gift. Oh, I love that. If they walk away from you, you may hurt for a while, but your heart will eventually heal. Wow, love that. Just like, oh my gosh.
That is it. That is it. Because even if you're around someone who is defensive about your carnivore journey or the salt you're eating or whatever,
Right.
like, yeah, I read it again. Read it one more time because
Yes.
it really, I went right there with that.
Yes, you are never responsible for the actions of others, but
Yeah.
you are responsible for you. If someone is not treating you with love and respect, it is a gift.
It's a gift.
Yes.
We
If
learn.
they walk away from you, that's right. You may hurt for a while, but your heart will eventually heal.
Yeah.
The biggest part that I take away from this is if you're not being treated right, let's say I am being gossiped against, let's say, well, it's not me. It's not, I can't even call it my program, okay? Because I don't want to be personally attached to anything. But let's say they talk about priming. And I can say, this is a gift. Thank you for talking about priming. And leave it at that.
We don't make assumptions. That's the third agreement.
That's the third agreement. Let's go into that one.
We don't make assumptions.
Do you have a nice little chapter you want to read from that one? That little snippet?
I guess I know that, like, well, what he says is, like, when we make assumptions, we make problems because assumptions aren't the truth. And that's
Right.
where that gossip thing comes in. It's like
Poison.
somebody's made an assumption, they're going to run away with it.
Yes.
And then they're going to spread gossip.
Yes. Gossip
And I
is
mean,
poison.
have you ever had someone make an assumption about you and then get angry and blame you for it? You know,
Of course.
like somebody's thought, oh, they just expected something of you. They didn't communicate that. They made the assumption, and then they got angry with you for whatever reason.
All the time. And then you're just confused. You're like, what were you thinking that I could do? Or,
But that, that's where making assumptions and taking it personally goes hand in hand, which is
Right.
why I liked that we're talking about both of them in this call. They both lead to drama.
Yes, they do. And that's what we're trying to avoid because drama is our own hell, right?
Yes.
Now, there is, like you said, Amaline, an addiction to that hell.
There can be addiction to drama.
There is.
And
There
when
is.
people literally don't seek that clarification, it's because they want to
They want the
they want
drama.
to be in that.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of that too. I've been known to cause drama just to stir things up.
You're
And
bored.
maybe, I don't know. I mean, when we were together in Wyoming,
Yeah.
I caused a nice little drama there,
You did.
Yeah. You don't remember about the driving?
But you opened me up to another thing that I was making assumption. I took it personally. I took something personally, and then I realized that was coming from a fear of survival, of being left behind, things like that.
Uh-huh.
And you helped me with that, and
Well,
I
I'll
saw
talk
the
about the
other little
driving.
things,
Is that
but
okay?
with the driving, that was like no big deal to me. It felt like Yeah, whatever. We're friends.
Right, 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 right. Well, and that's kind of funny. So that's where I'm at a crossroad with, right? So I feel like in a way we're being warriors to our feelings, which is proper to those that don't know us. But what about friends and family? Could we open up and be ourselves? But I mean, could we be guarded with our emotions and be ourselves at the same time?
No, because we're not being impeccable with our word. We're not being honest. It's okay to keep some things private, though, as long as we're
Actually,
being honest with ourselves.
I
You know.
think here's a question that I have for you. Are you your emotions, Emily? I love that
Um,
smile.
in the moment, yeah, no, but I mean, in the long game, your emotions can drive your character, right? But like in that moment, you're not your emotions. You're just having that experience, right?
Now, can you say that your emotion changes the conversation of
Yeah.
how things really are?
Well, it can
Or can it
cause a,
influence it? Sorry.
it can influence the way the conversation goes with others, and
Right.
then the way you think about the person.
That's right. Okay, so can we almost say that emotions are deceiving?
Yeah, we
Okay,
can.
so if we say that, then by being guarding our emotions would be a wise thing. And in other words, allow the emotions to flow, but only within us without spilling it out.
Yes, I also do feel like there are times and circumstances where anger is needed
Oh, I'm not saying that.
to motivate us to certain actions to
If you were
something. Yeah.
impeccable in your word, then you feel the anger, for example,
Yeah.
within,
Yeah.
and you talk to yourself and say, hey, is this a good moment to allow this anger out?
Right. We don't have to
React.
react in a way that is unkind with our anger. We can
Right.
still be angry.
The trick is the reaction.
Yeah.
We're so used to having an emotion well up like a boiled water, and then that just blows off the steam right away, right? Instead of keeping it contained and then slowly seeping it off, right? Like,
Yeah.
and being wise and impeccable with our words.
He also talks about fantasies are created when we make assumptions, because
Yes.
you make an assumption about something and then you can get carried away with it in your imagination and create like a whole narrative or another version of reality. And in high school, I remember, like, you have a crush on somebody, or you think that they like you or they don't like you. You can get carried away.
Yes. And that fantasy, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You,
Yeah.
it's strange, but the crushes that I've had, I knew nothing about that person at all. At all. At all.
Right, right. It's so
It's crazy.
true.
It's
That
I
barometer.
make up this idol by what I think what I would like.
Mm.
And that's where assumptions come in, right? I made assumptions the whole way.
We make assumptions in our relationships too.
We do.
That bring
Oh
up
my God.
problems.
We do.
We expect partners to read our minds or
Yes,
know
all the time.
what we want, how we feel, how they feel, and
And we get mad
often
at them
we get
if
mad at
they're
them.
not reading our minds. Yes.
um, Especially if we're doing things for people and then we expect them to do things for us, right? Then
Yes.
that we're not using our words, though.
That's right.
We're just we're doing an
We're
act and we're
assuming
expecting
we're assuming that because
assuming.
we didn't act for them that they would do it for us.
Yeah, instead of, because, and that's where people are afraid. They're afraid to ask for what they want.
That's right. That's right.
They want people to show them to validate their love, without having to ask for it. Um, I think it also just becomes easier to put that burden on the other person. Um,
I'm so glad you said this. That's exactly right. Have you noticed
mhm.
that when we do certain things is because that's the easiest path?
Yeah,
The rest takes thought, right?
yeah.
And that's
Well,
tough.
It's because we're afraid somehow in our mind maybe that they don't care about me all of a sudden. Maybe there's those fears coming up. So we're looking for signs and cues that our partners still care about
We do, and we make it a reality eventually.
us. So the
Isn't
things
that
that
funny?
you're afraid you can actually manifest.
You
Yeah,
manifest. That's right.
You can dote on it to the point of actually making it come true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Instead of, and it says so in the, instead of making assumptions, ask questions.
All right, I'd like a card from this
All right.
section.
All right, I'll pick your card.
Let's see what it says. Assume nothing.
Oh my goodness.
I know. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think. Oh my God, we just talked about that.
Weird.
And we don't have to say what we want.
And we don't have to say what we want.
Yeah,
We should know.
I know. This is just what we were talking about. It's crazy I picked this card.
It's always like this.
Yeah.
Every
We-
time.
I know. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is dead on exactly what we're talking about.
It's so funny you wanted to pull a card.
And, returning to that understanding that when we take things personally, we're assuming others know what's going on in our worlds, right?
Right.
I relate to that looking back on when I was sick and in a lot of pain. I felt literally that God was showing me who truly cared about me. I saw that, like, how I was always there for other people, giving to others, engaging with them. But after when I got sick, I felt left behind by friends who were going off skiing in Tahoe, to wine country, to hiking in the Muir Woods, or wherever the adventure gathering party was that was taking place. And it upset me that I wasn't even getting an invitation to go at a certain point because I think I had rejected so many invitations due to being sick. And then I took it personally that people didn't check in on me or ask me
Right.
how I was doing. But, at that time, I really didn't take accountability for the fact that I was isolating myself a lot
Right.
and not sharing my pain. Like at the beginning, I shared health issues and saw mixed reactions to that. And then I just started keeping my pain a secret, especially, for coworkers and work situation. I didn't have anything wrong with me,
Right.
But because of that shame and fear of abandonment, I was definitely not communicating my needs. And then so on one hand, I realized how I was doing too much when I was healthy, like saw how I was wasting my time and energy over do people pleasing and I took my energy for granted. I saw that when I was sick. But when I had nothing left to give in the weakest state of my life, I suffered in silence. So, I mean, I really couldn't be making the judgments that I was making,
Wow. There's nothing like being sick and at your lowest to stop the judgment talk in your head, huh? Being in pain all the time. I know what that felt like. I remember that.
That's when you're the most moodiest and
Yeah.
intolerant.
You are intolerant, but you don't even.
But you have to
I don't
struggle
know.
through
You have to
that.
struggle through that. Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't it really tests you
Yes.
the most. And I
Yes.
think that it did make me a better person, more compassionate person.
I think so.
Yeah.
Same. I can relate to people who are ill now because
Yeah.
I've been there. I can relate to rock bottom.
You can imagine more about what's going on in their worlds.
Their world. That's
A
right.
little bit more accurately.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Good one.
But we still can't assume.
No. Yes, you're right. We should avoid assuming.
But
Speaking
yeah.
of which, that sounds like a good next card.
Okay.
Eliminate gossip.
Yeah.
Making assumptions is a setup for suffering because usually we gossip about our assumptions. We make assumptions and believe we are right. Then we
We gotta be
defend,
right.
I know, then we defend our assumptions and try to make others wrong. That's so true.
And that comes from a deep, deep place of insecurity when a person needs to seek to be right about something. That they
Yeah.
want to make somebody else wrong.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So if you can't prove you're right, you're going to make somebody else wrong.
And there's a lot of vegan carnivore debates out there. On
There
YouTube
are.
that you can dip into that world
Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny, but we went out with a couple that were vegan, and that was an interesting conversation. They actually asked honestly about how I came about to being carnivore, and I told them my whole story and all that, and they were like, "Wow, you know, it's great to see that you found your health, you know, from such poor health." Then I asked them, "What ailments did you have to go vegan?" And they're like, "Oh, none. We were fine. We just started reading documentaries. It just made sense about the environment and all of
Mm.
that.
They were just
That's why we did
readers.
it." Yeah. And he's been at it 10 years, and I'm like, "Wow, the answer I had is you're fortunate never to have any health problems.
Yeah.
That's it." And you know what? Veganism. He said he used to be built, like have a lot of muscles, and I see him now, and I'm like, you probably should go back to carnivore. Anyways.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's we're looking through eyes
I
like
shouldn't be
and
saying that. Yes,
no, it's true, but like
I
I
made a
I have
judgment.
seen it, but I've seen it too. But
Yeah,
I think it's all, what we're looking at,
right.
and people aren't seeing those things because they're not looking.
Yeah, and and
They're
and
they're preoccupied looking at other things.
yes,
That's what it
but
is.
like a
Yeah.
deck says, being vegan is not wrong. It's not about right or wrong.
No.
It's just, and I went there with the judgment right away. Right. You see how easy it is for me to judge, especially when it comes to food.
Well, it's
Interesting, right?
I guess especially also if you were vegan and now you're carnivore. So I was
Oh, I
there
can
and
empathize
now
with
I'm
you
here.
there. Yes,
And
yes,
so, if somebody had asked me that question, I would have said I lied to myself. I lied to myself that plants were good for me for a
right,
long time.
right.
And it never got me anywhere, and then I went carnivore, and then it's like that's all I needed to know after that, was how I felt, inside out. But I also once upon a time I lied to myself and assumed that I could change someone with my love and my people pleasing behavior.
Hmm.
And that did not work all my life. Like, it did not work.
It never works. Yeah.
And I do feel like reading this book again this time around, like I saw that I could, when a person's people pleasing like I was, like, can easily fall into that trap of lying because I'm not being impeccable with my word if I'm trying to please somebody else, do things for them without showing my true feelings about things. And when we're not being true to ourselves. So Don Miguel says, like, your love can't change anyone. If others change, it's because they want to.
That's
And
right.
real love is accepting people as they
That's
are and
why
not trying to change them.
I love that.
It's especially hard to accept when you have good intentions of keeping a healing relationship with somebody. And if you want that person to be happy and loving instead of constantly angry, but you can't change them with love. So, it's weird. You think you could. You think, oh, I'm going to be loving to you, you're going to be loving to me, and that could happen, but they have to make that choice,
Yes.
and you have to make the choice too. Um, as someone who loves you just as you are, you should aim for that because if you're around someone who's always critical of you, then they don't love who you are. And that's
Yeah.
what he's saying in that book, and it really hits home. People have their temporary moods, but when it's a constant issue, then maybe it's not a good relationship to be in. But let's
Right.
not make assumptions. Let's have the courage to ask questions
Yes.
and avoid making assumptions. But when someone is words and their actions aren't matching, which he talks about in the book, then you can't lie to yourself. And so that clarity of being impeccable with your word will support that
Right.
decision.
That rings so true on my side because I've been thinking that love will change my wife's way of eating.
Only she will.
But I didn't realize how, first of all, that I'm not, well, I'm definitely not following the four agreements, thinking that love, in other words, how am I using love to force? Love and force doesn't go well together,
Right, right.
and why do I think that, instead of empowering her for what she wants to do,
and being herself, I'm actually trying to change her. So forget it's eating, right? It doesn't matter. I'm not accepting her for who she is. So is that, I need to ask myself, is that really love? And
Well,
anybody
you
would say
love
probably
her, you
not,
want her to
you
be
know?
well and happy, you want her to find the health you found. So in a way, I could see where it's coming from. The intention is good, but it
Intention
won't
is,
work. It's
yeah, well, what was that saying? The road paved to hell is with the best
full of
intentions.
good
Yeah.
intention. It was made with good intentions. Oh, it's so true. That is so
Well,
true in
in
these
my case,
instances.
that is exactly what it is.
Yes,
So
and that was the truth for
I
me too.
I am having a hard time. I'm trying to learn myself to love for what I see right in front of me right now, as I see it, present. No matter what it is, it's like, you know what? Just take it in. This is who they are. It's
All right,
okay.
it's time
This is
for
who
you
they
to
are.
get a card. It's time for you to
Okay.
get a card.
Okay. Let's take a look at a good card.
Learn to ask questions.
Learn to ask
Learn
questions.
to ask
That
questions.
is perfect timing. You
Perfect
have to
timing.
find your voice to ask for what you want.
That's what I need to do. It is always better to ask questions than to make assumptions. Have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be. Once you hear the answer to a question, you won't have to make assumption because you will know the truth.
I love that there was a swan on
Wow.
that card, by the
Yeah, that's a
way, which
swan. Oh, yes.
that swan is always, for me, symbolically of self worth, and mirroring in partnerships, because the love we have for ourselves is to the depth of the love we can have with others. It's a mirror reflection.
It absolutely is. Absolutely is.
Yeah. And I hope with it said on that card, I don't know, it might mean something for you to start a conversation.
That is it. No, no, no. And it is. Just like Kimberly says, communication is so important.
Yeah.
And that is something I lack. You would think me coaching so many people, having going the assumption, having all of these clients and talking to so many people, that'd be great in communication, right? Absolutely not. Um, so there's a point that I there's a lot of baggage also, because we've been married for like 18 years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of,
I get it.
right, right, right. Of course you understand.
But
Yeah.
when you're coaching, you're not taking it personally. They're your
Right.
clients, and so like it is
Right.
different, and the conversations that you have are going to be different.
Right. Right. So
Let's do some more cards.
sure, why not? All right. Be aware of unconscious assumptions. Wow.
Unconscious assumptions.
Unconscious. Oh,
So they can catch you up later.
I
Catch up
guess
with you later.
so. Let's find out. Assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously, most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. That is so true. The unconscious assumption. Wow.
And that can be programmed from our families,
Oh, of course, of course.
you
Like,
know?
Well, sometimes it's. I think when I was a kid, it was kind of more. If you ask certain questions, it was found to be rude
Uh huh.
or disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
So you had no choice but to go into this unconscious assumption.
Or
Like
there
for
are topics
example,
that you don't talk about. And there's
for
things you don't
example,
talk about.
right? For example, something very simple, like your mom. Hey, you should know what flowers she liked. Oh, right? But I'm thinking now, I don't know what a flower she likes,
And it doesn't mean you
what
didn't
color
love
she
your
likes.
mom just because you didn't know what flowers she liked.
But
But
that's exactly where I'll go. Well, did you really love her if you don't know?
mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. A
that's
little bit
deep,
of
isn't it?
gaslighting to yourself if you're doing it to yourself.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. Yeah. And I'm just giving an example, right?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Oh, let's take a look at
Society
3D.
also programs us not to ask questions. It does.
Oh my God, Kimberly,
It
you're
does.
so
In
right. It does.
school, you
Yes,
cannot
yes.
ask
Don't
questions
ask
that
questions to the
challenge the
teacher that
teacher.
challenge the teacher.
Oh no.
You're right. I never thought of that. We are so taught not to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Hmm.
Yeah.
Shall we go to another card?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Speak openly and honestly. That's a hard one. When you speak openly and honestly, you won't have to make assumptions. The day you stop making assumptions, you will communicate cleanly and clearly
Mm.
and achieve impeccability with your word.
Have you never been in a conversation or even noticed it in yourself where you're hinting around something without being as
Yes.
direct? You
Yes.
know, you're
Yes.
like, you're kind of implying something without having to directly say it because you think
Right.
it's not rude. You think it
Not
might be
right.
rude
Hmm.
to be direct.
Right.
Especially, I feel like this as a woman, like, speaking my mind. Sometimes, in a workplace situation or whatever, you
Yes.
don't want to like, you know, you got a boss, so you're not trying to override their decisions, so
Right.
you're indirectly suggesting, I think we should might want to do that. Try
Right.
this.
Right. You got to massage it a certain way just to get it where
So
you
they're
don't,
not
right. So they're
they're
not
not.
offended. Right. They don't take it personally. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't take it personally.
Right. Yeah, and just like Kimberly says, I mean, getting thrown off guard when because I do that. I'll sometimes say it exactly what I think, and people are like, "Whoa, he did not just say that," you know.
I remember a book that I read a while ago, and it said something like, "Are you an ass kisser or an ass kicker?" And you could only be
Oh,
one or the other. You
ooh,
couldn't have both worlds. And I thought that was pretty. I read it. I think I didn't. I don't even know if I got to the end because I felt like I couldn't even take it, what I
yeah,
was reading at that
yeah.
time. I don't think we need to be mean. I don't. I just think that we all need to not take things personally.
Right, right, right. Obviously,
More.
that you know what, Deck makes the point. It's not so as easy as black and white, and not because we can say try to be open and as honest as possible, but it is dependent on how the listener takes it too,
That's what
right?
That's what Kimberly's saying.
Right, and
It's how
Kimberly's
the
saying, yeah.
listeners required to participate
Right,
in that.
right.
Right.
So in your aspect, Amaline, about your boss, how they hear it, if it's massaged a certain way, politically correct, I guess if you want to call it that, that's what we do with that political correctness is dancing around the subject to make it massaged, to make it seem right, to make a decision. Um, I don't know
And
what
I'm
to
not
say
saying
about
that's my
that.
current situation, but I felt that way in a previous situation.
Yeah, I'm not
You
saying
know,
that it is. I'm just making an
exactly.
example. Yeah.
But it
Don't take it
actually
personally.
was it actually was that way in the
Oh, it
previous
was?
not this situation, but not my
Yeah.
current job, but in a previous job. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um, it was like I don't know how I'm supposed to. Well, when you're a designer, you do critique. It's
Oh,
not to
right.
criticize, it's for construct it, it's to be more successful.
Right.
And as a designer, you have to take a lot of criticism of your work
Of
and
course.
not take
Of
it
course. Not take
personally
it
and
personally.
know that like you have to go back to the drawing board. I think that actually being a designer has helped me take a lot of things, people opinions, and not take it personally. Um, at least
Because you
in
feel
my
like it
job,
helped. You have the point of view that this will help you.
because I was driven to be better
Right. Driven to be better.
and I
Right. I
wanted that
see.
feedback.
Very interesting.
Um, so I didn't take personal ownership of the projects either. It's something you have to learn. It's not yours. It's for
That's
the
right.
company that you're working for.
Did you take it personally when they congratulated you on how wonderful of a job you did or how beautiful it looked?
Did I take it personally? Oh, I accepted that. I was like, well, you can pass that on to my boss.
Oh, good. Okay. I like that. Cool. Now that's a way to do it. I like that. I like that. That's great.
um,
Last card. No, we have two more cards, shall we?
okay, yeah, I'm okay.
All right. This one is ask for what you want. Oof. Find the courage to ask for what you want. Others have the right to tell you yes or no, but
Be
you
brave.
always have the right to ask.
Mhm.
Likewise, everybody has the right to ask you for what they want. and you have the right to say yes or no.
And then you just have to accept it.
And you have to accept it.
Yeah. Wow, that's a tough one.
I think
Asking
it's
for
more,
what you
I
want.
think it's really rewarding though, whether the answer is yes or no, than the fact
Yeah.
that you were just came clean with what you wanted and you got the answer without having to waste more of your time, trying to figure it out where you stand or what it is that you're trying to have.
But I wonder, so this is what I'm trying to practice. Language is so important. It's like casting a spell, like the book says. So there's a certain way of asking for something, and it sounds terrible, and you'll definitely get denied, right? But there's some other ways, like what you were saying, massaging it right, and then you get the answer. Now, it does seem like manipulation. I, so I'm still wrapping my head around that one.
We have some responses in here. It says it's scary to ask for things
It
because
is.
people might say no or even make assumptions about you. You're afraid of the
Yeah.
assumptions that people will make.
Yeah,
It's
because
true.
yeah, let's say I
Yeah.
want to I want to raise. Hey, I'll go to my boss. I want to raise. Well, I'm going to assume if he says no, he's going to be like, well, I'm assuming that he's going to say you've been doing kind of poorly this year or whatever. That's the assumption by him saying no. And I'm going to make that assumption anyways.
He might make the assumption that if he says no, you might be finding another job.
And there's that too. That's right. Or I might be looking for another job
And then he would start
yeah.
looking for other
And he
people
would
to
start
replace
right,
you, and
right,
that could
right,
be a
right.
fear.
I didn't even think about that. Exactly. So there's
Yeah.
tons. It to me it can open up a bunch of assumptions from doing that.
Don't be afraid of other people's
Oh,
hell.
she's
They're in
right.
their dream.
They're in
That's
their dream. That's
wonderful.
true. That's true. We don't want to embrace fear, and that's what we're talking about right now. Is apparently we are getting into that dream and getting into the assumption. So trying to figure out how to be impeccable and ask for what you want is going to be that's challenging. Actually, a lot of these agreements are very challenging, and I need to understand it much more. Soak into it. Let's do the last card,
Last card.
and let's finish up. Perfect. Says, oh wow, perfect for the last card. Somehow it reads our minds. Say goodbye to sadness and drama. Like right when we're about to say goodbye.
Yeah, say goodbye to sadness and drama by just, you know, being impeccable with your word. We've got the first agreement, being impeccable with your word, your power to create, because your word is your power to create. And you can clean your mind of self-limiting beliefs, thoughts before they become beliefs.
Yes.
And that those beliefs are going to be the agreements that impact and shape your destiny, and even all of the rest of us in the collective of our co-creation of reality. And then the second, let's recap the don't take things personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. And that's challenging because there are some people who can annoy the crap out of you until the point that you get angry, right? But it's really what's going on. That's not because of you, right? It's a reflection of their own personal agreements. So by not taking things personally, you're immune to being affected. And then it leads into not making assumptions. Don't make assumptions, because assumptions are not the truth. When we make assumptions, we make problems, drama. Assumptions are made when there isn't courage to ask questions or ask for what you want. So,
Yes. And this card says, all the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. The whole world of control between humans is based on that. Take a moment and consider this. Beautiful closing right there.
yeah.
Amaline?
Yeah. Next week, we're going to do another part 3. It's going to be the 4th agreement, which is always do your best. And we're going to talk about breaking old agreements. And I'm not sure, we could do the prayers and everything else in the final meeting, or
Yes.
I don't know if it might stretch into a fourth call. But
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Sounds good to me.
Thank
Thank you for those who joined us today. Really appreciate you guys being on the live. And hopefully we'll see you on the next one, which we're going to try to do it on Saturday again.
Saturday, 3.
3? Yeah. Wasn't this fun, Amaline?
It
I
was
like
fun.
this. This is great.
I'm glad that we're doing it together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my first experience doing YouTube lives, and I'm enjoying it. I just feel comfortable with Coach Raymond. There's always something to say. So thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amaline. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really
Bye.
appreciate it.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.